Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I suppose that was that was something that was missed. Yeah.
It's a terrible.
I'm filming.
Yeah, just all together, please.
In it. Hang on. Now, at that point, Crossroads comes on. Wonderful. I don't deserve 7 people for this because it's a very self-indulgent broadcast. Yes, I'm not greedy like you people. I don't go out with Let me just turn this down. Well, funnily enough, if you're interested, that song is called Catching Dinner. But what I thought I'd do today, because I've been uploading a few films now, some of them have been all together blocked, and there's nothing I can do about it. You know, TGR, take note. We're fucking with the system. If the system comes down on our ass, got to deal with it. Can't help it. Okay, so next, that's what I say. Move on to the next. But anyway, the ones that did get through, I have to tell you something very sad. Some of these films have been blocked in the United States and colonial territories of the United States. Other films have been blocked in United Kingdom and colonies of the United Kingdom. So, you know, sometimes some of you are going to get a film and some of you ain't going to get a film, and I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. If I could, I'd give you Withnail and I tomorrow and Lawrence of Arabia and all that stuff, but I can't. You know, these films are too. You know, I got done over the other day because I put a film on which I thought would be perfect, right? Called Pascali's Island. No, worldwide blockage. No appeal. No, oh, it's not my fault. I didn't know what I was doing. Fuck off. That's it. But I want to tell you about what's already gone up there. So let me go to another screen and start screaming. So, now if I look on my channel here, Invisible Ray is called my channel. That's what it's called. Oh, here we are. So my playlist, going to the top here, my playlist is called, what is it called? Legends of Rock. No, it's not that one. I can't even see it up there. Where is it? Revolver Stories. No, I can't see my frigging playlist. Oh, well, anyway, the playlist is called Invisible Rays Movie Club, I think. Well, not to worry. If you can't find it, it'll find you. Hey, Michael. Now, so starting from the back, we just did yesterday. It's got a tremendous 29 views so far. is a classic swashbuckler from 1952 with a totally bonkers plot involving a wooden submarine, probably the earliest submarine ever seen on film. Well, the earliest sort of date of a submarine, because I mean, you know, we know that submarines were around in the Civil War, but it's a bit of a myth that they were around during the War of Independence. That was more of an insurance scam from what I've heard. But anyway, so that film's all about this, and it all ends up with a very exciting submarine attack on a British warship. It's bonkers. And then also that day I had Shirley Valentine. Now, some have been complaining that the copy is a bit shit. Well, what do you fucking expect? What do you fucking expect? Do you think they're just going to give me these films in perfect condition? No, I've got to fight for it. I've got to fight for the right for you to see films. Before that, an American audience is very disappointingly have only turned up in the number of 21 to watch Carry On Camping. That's torture in it, for fuck's sake. And Barbara Windsor. And before that, there was Please Sir, another comedy with an incredible 41 views. Now, that's a funny film, I like that. And also, here's one you Americans can't get, called Prick Up Your Ears, which is interesting if you like the Beatles, because it involves a scene where he's got to meet Paul McCartney, because it's about Joe Meek, controversial playwright from the early 60s, mid 60s. Yes, so if you want to find out more about that, fucking Google it. Before that, of course, Digby, very popular choice. Before that, The Ape Man. The Ape Man sold itself. I mean, already we're on 328 views. You know, it's selling itself. Fireback, it's been blocked because of violence and sexual shit and all that. So I'm sorry about that. I think that's what Pascali's Island was also blocked, because it showed Helen Mirren in her naked form. That's for your average audience, you know what I mean? It says. Before that, we had The Killer Shrews. If you haven't seen it before, one of the scariest films ever made. Horror Express, which you can't get in America, I'm sorry to say, but the rest of the world enjoy the Horror Express. Amazing Mr. Blunden, the day before that. Wonderful story. They've remade it with black people. Absolutely shit. Typical as well. Typical. Any good story. They've done it with the Railway Children. The Railway Children are all fucking black in Edwardian times. Duh. They're just trying to rewrite history for us. Rewrite it. Re-black it for us. The day before that, the million-selling Rising Damper movie. Before that, of course, the pièce de résistance, Biggles Adventures in Time. No one can moan about that, can they? Right, anyway, let's get back to the studio, see what's happening. 9 people, what's been saying? Stockwell, Zombie. Sorry, I've changed the music for you now, I've said my piece. But this is the big surprise for you. The big surprise is today, if all goes according to plan, you will be seeing a blockbuster of gargantuan proportions. And do you know what it is? Now, Danny out there, if you're watching, get yourself tuned in, because I know it's your favourite subject. It is Charles Manson's story. Helter Skelter. Probably the best telling of Charles Manson's story. I mean, me and my mate Vicky, we were sitting down, she loves serial things, and we were sitting there, and I said, I've got Phil Manson. So we sat there, and it was a bit pervy. And neither of us liked it. We're both big criminology fans, but we're not into the pervy side of it. We like killing, And we like it when it's sex-based as well, you know, when there's a kinky side to it. But, you know, we don't want to watch all the fucking giant vibrators and things like that. No. It's like, I like horror films, but I don't like the sight of blood. Does that make sense to you? I like to feel a shiver up my spine. I got that in The Shining. There's not a lot of blood in that. I don't think there's any fucking blood in that. Yeah. Apart from when that black bloke comes all that way and gets his head chopped off. but there's not a lot of blood involved. See what I mean? Fear is not about, you know, people getting their fucking head chopped off. Like Pamela Voorhees. It's about what you can't see. What you can sense. You know what I mean? You ever been in a room or a pub, for example, you know that there's a real bad feeling at you. There's a real bad feeling in the room, and it's directed at you. Who is this person? Where are you from? Let's kill him now. You know what I mean? Let's cook him in a pot. All right, let's put on Andrew Dixon's theme.
Bye.
Oh, did anybody hear Pete Boothroyd's story? Pete Bootsy. He come on the Mayo Channel the other day. He was talking about his share story is the most boring story in the whole world. The whole world was falling asleep. And if you think Mr. Mayo's going through his fucking honeymooner script is boring, well, honestly, Pete Boothroyd's share story takes the biscuit. It was dull. And I'll tell you another shit thing. And you don't say, oh, you're only picking on him because he's got the special needs. No, Richie Dolan knows better than this. And he, for some unknown reason, did a celebration of the death of George Harrison 22 years later, and then went for a tribute, and it was rubbish. It was rubbish. I mean, I've said some things, and he said, blow, 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 blow away. I might screenshot that bit because it's good. But anyway, listen, we're almost there, and in the next half hour, get yourself a nice stiff drink, I'd say, because it's a horrible story. If you don't know about Charles Manson, and you should do, because a lot of you are pretty sick. Terrible crime in 1969. Nobody was really innocent. Charles Manson is not innocent, was not innocent. He was fucking mental. But like I said, you had to be there to experience what Charles Manson was like. Because it's all right to demonise him, but he was also like a Pied Piper sort of character. But anyway, I shouldn't be introducing this. You make up your own minds what you think of Charlie Manson. Personally, I think he should have got the electric chair. I do. I'm sorry to say that, but people who are in our society, no matter how charming they are, should be given the full force of capital punishment if they behave in a certain way in society, or if they look like they're gonna. I mean, in 1900. Britain had it sewed up. We had so many mental institutions. You put a foot wrong in society, you'd be put in the fucking nut house. And that's it. You know, oh, we're going to take you away because you're a pain in the ass. So you had that threat hanging over you. Anyway. Oh, here we go. Well, yeah, no. This is a very good reason for executing all criminals, actually. I'd say especially black criminals, followed by brown criminals, followed by yellow criminals, and finally, with white criminals, yes, well. Just to show that I'm not racist. You know, when does a terrorist... how come a terrorist is not a murderer? That's what I can't understand to this day. You know what I mean? Anyway, look, I don't want to go into this subject because we're 10 minutes away from the Manson film. So remember, Helter Skelter is the name of the Beatles song. So there's a Beatles link there. and the film does go into that a lot more. But like I said, this is a documentary style, but it's not a documentary, by the way, but it's a documentary type telling. It's not a kinky, pervy telling, because, you know, like I said, you've got Ted Bundy films and you've got Ted Bundy films. If you want to hear how Ted Bundy did his crimes without having to see all the gory details, there's lots of films out there. If you want to see the gory detail ones, there's also films where you can watch that kind of thing. There's also the Ted Bundy I knew, the Jeffrey Dahmer I knew. There's all these kind of films out there, but what we want as an audience is a straight telling, and then we can go on to the kinky stuff afterwards. Because the last thing I want, if I'm sitting here watching it and thinking I want to know about this bloke, is a confused telling of the story. Like, you remember the Doors when they did that? By the way, I just want to say something about the Napoleon film. The Napoleon film gives you a reason for never being able to make a Beatles film. Now, Napoleon is covering about 25 years, but hard action through 25 years. They didn't get it right. They fucked it up. But I could have told them that 50, 60 years ago, they could have made a good Napoleon film, which they could have used all the tricks from that time to get from one thing to the other. But you can't do it in this day and age. It's too complicated. Napoleon's a very complicated subject. And I think they failed on every single count with this film, which is another reason why they can't, unless they do a Beatles thing about this is the making of Sergeant Pepper, or this is the last days of the Beatles, and they'll have to do that when the Beatles are all dead, really, and the families won't give a fuck about it by this point, because they'll just say, yeah, we'll take the money, thanks very much, say what you want about them. You know, and like I said, it'll just be little snippets of top. Oh, this is the birth of the Beatles, where they make Please Please Me and become Beatlemaniacs. And that's enough. It's a big enough time period to be able to get a grip. They've done this before. All the Beatle films are little snippets. Or the John Lennon stories about John Lennon, basically, where everything else is sidetracked. And they can get through it nicely like that. And funnily enough, they failed with Bohemian Rhapsody, but they were saying it wasn't about Freddie, it was about Queen. So they fucked up there, because what they should have said, this is about Freddie, this is Freddie's story. Because Queen finished when Freddie died. I don't care what anybody says. All right, well, I'm sure you're going to hear Charles Manson any minute, mister. So get excited. Get excited. All right? Remember, helter skelter. When I get to the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide, and I turn, and I stop, and I go for a ride. So anyway, get ready for it. Get ready for it, because it's coming up any minute, shortly. Getting excited. I'm getting excited. 3 hours. So get yourself a cup of tea. We're talking about if they don't block it. If they don't block it, we're talking about 10 minutes. Here we go. Right, I'm going. Stay tuned. The film is coming up. Goodbye. We hope, anyway.